Ooh. There it goes. And lighting is professional studio quality, full power, awesome, amazing as usual. This is Nico coming from his professional, awesome, amazing studio live somewhere, coming live from somewhere. Here on Sunday, April 16th, 2023, with Sunday afternoon hangout and check-in. I hope everybody's doing well. If you're hearing this message, I love you. You're awesome. You're amazing. Even more than you could possibly imagine. Now let's get after it and be our best selves and fulfill our destiny and make the world amazing. And I don't know, whatever. I'm here for your Sunday afternoon dose of encouragement and love and connection and information and learning and growing and teamwork and cooperation that we can work together to make the world an amazing, full power, awesome place so that we can all hang out IRL and do it old school and sit in the meadow and smoke ganja and play guitar in the sunshine, do yoga all day long, every day, forever. Infinite, awesome, amazing, happily ever after. Yeah. So yeah, that's the run-on sentence introduction. Welcome to the space. It is Sunday afternoon and we all hanging out. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to share a vibe. I'm happy that you exist and that you have ears to hear and eyes to see, and that we can share the space together. This is your space. This is our space, and I'm here to facilitate that so that we can have some human connection and put some smiles on faces and some twinkles in eyes and just be thankful to be alive. So this space, if you haven't been here before, this is the Sunday afternoon, zero fucks given hour of touching all of the crevices of every deepest, darkest rabbit hole and hitting all of the full power, magical mysticism, manifesting heaven on earth, full power vibration vibe. So if you're a human being and you know that freedom is given to us by our creator and that we through striving can enhance and expand upon that freedom and become the most free that we're capable of being and protect one another's freedoms and love one another in that way, that each of us can express ourselves to our highest extent in the way that only we know how, then this is the place for you. And I have that vision in my heart and I've had it for my whole darn life, and I'm so eager to put it on the line for you, that we can all be happy and healthy and free, full power together. And to that end, we cover all the topics here. Some of my favorite topics here is sovereignty, talking about the legal name fraud, talking about the straw man connection, the UCC fraud, the Maritime Admiralty corporate scam, talking about lawful money versus legal tender, talking about material abundance, which oftentimes leads us into talking about what money actually is versus currency, legal tender versus lawful money. So we talk about crypto. We talk about planning for the future, planning for the inevitable going to zero of the fiat monetary Federal Reserve note, hashtag end the Fed, always, immediately. I posted a tweet yesterday that I was quite pleased with. I said, my take on the banking system is that the big banks are getting bigger and that they are suffering from an astonishing lack of being set on fire. And one of the things that really put a big smile on my face, I'm like in a, uh-oh, ensconced in shadow. I'm doing my shadow work. Um, One of the things that put a big smile on my face last week was that the French rioters broke into the BlackRock headquarters and, were lighting fires and so forth. And I would never encourage anybody to do anything illegal. But as far as lawfully expressing your displeasure with corporations that make their bottom line off of murder and mayhem, I think that's a really good place to start. Let's start with BlackRock. Let's start with the Department of Defense, which it's become increasingly clear is responsible for bioweapon attacks against its own people, against the American people, etc. And let's pin the tail on the donkey. Let's hit the bullseye and hold the people accountable that need to be held accountable, and make concessions for those that are not as accountable. And specifically, I'm talking about, for instance, I have several members of my family who are medical professionals and have participated to one degree or another in the bioweaponization against American people and innocent people. And I'm very curious to see how far down the hill that shit will flow, because as we all know, shit flows downhill within these institutional settings. And I pray for the safety and well-being of my mother and my brother and stuff like this. But yeah, at the same time, I have gone seriously out of my way to let them know that what they're doing is wrong and that they ought to stop it immediately, and that the plausible deniability is wearing extremely thin, and that I was just doing my job, never worked as a defense in the first round of Nuremberg trials, and it's not going to work this time. So either come up with a better defense or fucking stop doing something that clearly is wrong at this point. Rant only just started. I can rant on significantly longer. Dang, I don't know what happened to my lighting. It was good for a moment, and now it's not so good. Okay. In any case, we're going to win the world, and we're going to do it the good old-fashioned way, with love and connectedness and full powerness and healing and health and awesomeness. We're going to start growing our own food and living on farms, and I eagerly look forward to the day where I don't have to be a full power vegan in protest of the awfulness of the animal agriculture industry, and where I can have cows and goats and stuff that live on a piece of land with me and are very pleased to share their milk and so forth with me, that their calves get to eat to their heart's content first, and then there's some milk left over. I'd be happy to do that. That's the world I want to live in. I want to live in a happy cow world, etc. Speaking of which, out of nowhere, somehow, must have something to do with methane. Lol. 18,000 cows decided to explode themselves this week in random, for no darn reason. That's not suspicious. I mean, like I said, it's methane. Someone probably lit one of their farts on fire, and we're supposed to believe that 18,000 cows randomly explode for no reason, etc. Full power clown world out here. In any case, life is good. We still doing the thing, keeping it flowing, getting our exercise, keeping the blood pumping. When the blood pumps, we purify, we detoxify, we sweat, we get it out. I encourage physical activity. It only came into my consciousness within the last year or so that, like, if you truly love and care about the world, you are obligated to perform physical activity. You got to get in there and fucking work it out, and that the amount that you're willing to subject yourself to discomfort that's good for you, in the sense of like exercise and hard work and so forth, is a demonstration of how we love our fellow man in the world. And so, get up in it and get at it, and let's go. And I will be right there with you, etc., etc. A funny little cycloptopus thing. So that was good. That was like my longest ever thus far streak of having someone in my stream with me. I had someone in their room for like a solid 5 minutes, and now back to speaking to myself in my comfort zone of being alone on the internet, sort of vibe. I hope you're catching the vibe. I hope I could put a smile on your face, and that you got to take life just seriously enough, right? You got to put your all into it and be committed and focused and dedicated, but then at the same time recognize the inherent absurdity in it, and understand that laughter is the best medicine, and joy is the purpose. And I think my role here is really just to like is clarification purposes, like just to help with little tidbits and nuggets of information that I've put a lot of thought into, and kind of understanding the nuance of certain things, and to help people get around some of those tricky parts of morality and ethical behavior and so forth, so that they can get the most out of their life. And what I mean by this is that I came to understand that there's a difference between joy, which is the purpose of life, and which is what should be kind of at the forefront of how we express ourselves. The one who has the most fun wins is one of my mottos. Uh, and pleasure, which tends to be like carnal and self absorbed and you know uh, decadence and so forth. Which is actually kind of like left hand path, like road to perdition sort of situation. And so I think we should understand that, like, the purpose of life is joy, and we achieve the highest level of joy by being good and doing good. Um, I think people get like, there's a certain, like, I think like people really like oftentimes is posed as a rhetorical question of, do you understand the difference between good and right and wrong, or good and evil? Um, and we just assume that automatically, yes, I do know the difference between good and evil. And I think that's true on an instinctual level, on a gut level, from our highest self, or from our the core of our being. We know the difference between right and wrong. But look at all the times people can convince themselves that they're doing the right thing when they kind of know that they're not. Um, and so these little clarifications really help people to not make mistakes that they otherwise might make. It's Sunday afternoon. I noticed that Mark Passio is on his channel, his One Great Work Network, and talking a lot about ceremonial magic and the challenges of institutionalized Satanism that we face that the mainstream world is faced with, and how we can counteract that with goodness. Um, and he draws a very clear distinction between like right and wrong and like true morality, and most of it has to do with respecting free will. But then also there's like the non-aggression principle of like, respect the free will except where it interferes with other people's ability to enjoy freedom and safety, right? Respect people's free will except when their free will is to try to enslave others. Respect people's free will except when their free will says to cause murder and mayhem, aka BlackRock and similar corporations. Yeah, sorry, you forfeit your right to exist when your business is structured around doing things that are damaging to living beings. And then starting to understand this difference between the corporate debt world and the world of living men and women, common law, no victim, no crime, these sort of things. And a lot of what's going on in the state's assembly. Check out paulstramer.net, or annavonrights.com. She'd been writing a lot of articles. Is basically petitioning to the municipal and ecclesiastical courts, that are run by the Vatican and so forth, to basically liquidate all of the municipal corporations, which is basically all corporations around the world that are not willing or able to come into compliance with public law. And they've been given the opportunity to since I think like February of 2022, and they haven't. And they've doubled down on their criminality, talking about the people responsible for the injections, etc. Um, and so they've forfeited their right to exist. Again, like, the question is, how far down the hill will the ship flow? Because they're not going to shut down every single corporation that exists, but all of the major multinational offending corporations, UN Corp, USA Corp, NATO, etc., DoD Corp, IRS Corp. These are likely to be wound down and their assets returned to the American people. The USA unincorporated, which is us, the living men and women. Check out the AmericanStatesAssembly.net to learn more, to figure out how to do your paperwork and correct your status so that you will not be presumed to be a debtor municipal corporation owing the performance of 80 million statutes, codes, and regulations that a living being could never be expected to read, let alone understand and properly apply in a lifetime. Um, those things don't apply to living men and women. And as soon as you are able to, in the public, correct your status and make it clear that you are a living being, then those things all go into they're imaginary. They don't apply to you. Just as much as if someone you've never met walks up to you and says, "Hey, you have to, honk like a duck and hop on one foot because I say so. No green on Tuesdays," sort of thing. And you look at that like that's a dumb law, it's a dumb rule, and it doesn't apply to me, and I don't fucking know who you are. That's what they've done. Only they've done it with things like you have to have insurance to use your own private car to go where you want to go to visit your family, right? To travel. Well, that's a dumb rule and it doesn't apply to me, so I won't do it, right? Well, you have to follow the speed limit. Well, it's probably a good idea to go at a reasonable pace so that I don't harm anyone. Because if I do harm someone and there's a living victim, or damage someone's property, then I, as a living man, am responsible for my actions. Cause and effect, karma. As an adult, you have to take responsibility for your actions. That doesn't change. There is no get out of jail free card with natural law or with mysticism. But hey, I'm speeding because I have somewhere I need to get faster because my wife is giving birth or because someone is in danger or whatever. You know, as an adult, I can make that decision that this is a situation where I need to go faster. And just because there's a sign on the side of the road that says a number on it doesn't mean that I'm not capable of making my own decisions in my own situations, sort of thing. So understanding natural law, common law, super important, and then understanding how living men and women have been rebranded as corporate fictions through the legal name fraud, also very important. Mark Passio for the natural law, Anna von Reitz for the political status and standing section of it, the American States Assembly.net to correct your status and get back on the land and soil and have the God-given constitutional protected rights that we were intended to have. Rant chapter completed. Let's open a new chapter of ranting. Having said that, within the States Assembly, I've been doing all of my banking in lawful money for several years now, which is as simple as saying, if you look back, do your history, 1933, the Emergency Banking Act, FDR made it illegal to have gold. They confiscated the gold as much as they could. And it's my understanding that 70% of the gold was never confiscated, was outstanding based on the fact that Americans didn't want to give up their gold, and with good purpose. Because if you give up your gold to the government, you think you're ever getting it back. Same thing with guns, etc. And just do a little bit of history. I'm going to make this very clear. I am fully in support of gun control if and only if it includes the police and military, full stop. And that would a world where nobody has guns, sure. But if they want to pull this fucking Uncle Sam trust the government bullshit of the police and military are going to have guns, but we expect the citizens to give them up, you are asking for, you are inviting the type of totalitarianism that is not a good idea. Pol Pot and Mao and Stalin and all of those fuckers. They all did gun control before they committed their atrocities. So, gun education. How about that? How come no one's talking about gun education? That sounds like a fantastic idea. Education of all kinds sounds like a fantastic idea. I said this last week. As far as education goes and what they're teaching in the public schools. Now, of course, knowing what I know about like the legal fraud and so forth, like I don't think there's any redemption for public schools the way they are. I think they should all be shut down and people should have community schools, whatever. It's just a terrible, terrible, terrible idea to put the government in charge of what goes into your children's heads. The job of educating your children, whether you like it or not, whether you have a workaday job or not, is yours as a parent, ours as a community, to try to outsource that to government agent that has shown repeatedly that it's committed to criminality and ignorance and violence and just getting everything wrong every single time. And to be direct, Satanism, human sacrifice, bloodletting, sexual acts, devious sexual acts, etc. this is the institutional government that we have come to know. There is a government by the people, for the people, of the people, the American constitutional republic, living men and women on the land and soil that is being reconstructed, that is in session, and needs your help, needs our help all together to make it very clear that we do not belong to these fuckers, that they are our employees, and they better do what the fuck we say, because we have the power, ability, and capacity to enforce the public law, up to and including, you know, whatever the penalty for treason, and whatever the penalty for these things are, lawfully, completely lawfully. Violence, I don't, recommend violence in any way. Violence is a violation of somebody's free will. But when someone has committed crimes on the levels that the institutional governments that we know have done, taking accountability for those actions will require some severe penalties to be paid. First off, they owe the living people of this world everything, 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 yeah. All of the assets of the world belong to the living men and women. And so for all these corporations hiding behind their corporate veil and avoiding personal liability through bankruptcy, and they just, poof, down goes the tent, and then they pack up and they go to the next town and they pop their little carnival tent up and they try to do it again. Nope. Nope. Everything belongs to all of us. Everybody has an equal right to the fruit of the earth. Any hungry person has the right to eat from the tree. And we're guaranteed this right by our Creator, the right to life. Life is given to us as a gift. It's meant for the living men and women of this world. This legal name impersonation scheme, the corporation bullshit it's so wicked. It doesn't sink in at first, just like how fucked up it is. Until you start to understand, they've fabricated us on paper and then enslaved that piece of paper, and then had us, through coercion and through non-disclosure, had us stand in for that piece of paper. And then they've taken people away from their families and put them in boxes and put them in jail cells and put them in, every type of terrible situation you could imagine. Based on these false presumptions that were knowingly false and were false from the outset. It was full fraud on the face of it from the very beginning, and they just didn't tell anyone. And so people like me, who grew up in a generation where, my parents, when I came out of school, my parents expected me, like, go get a job and pay taxes. It's your civic duty, and vote. It's your civic duty. And meanwhile, all of the tax dollars that were being collected were going to foreign aggression and to steal the resources of other countries, etc., every type of criminality you can imagine. And to have to come to this understanding that, wait, no, that's not the way to go about it. In fact, the right thing to do, morally speaking, is to not pay taxes. There is not a moral justification to pay taxes at this point. It's wrong. It's a tough pill to swallow, especially for people of my parents' generation and whatnot, that couldn't fathom that they'd been lied to on a scale this large. But they have, and that's what it is. So rend unto Caesar what is Caesar's. The Federal Reserve notes do not belong to you. I mentioned that I've been banking in lawful money for several years. You can go to your bank, and it helps to have corrected your status, but I don't believe it's essential. You can go to your bank and you can say, hey, I would like to note on my account that all of my funds are denominated in lawful money and redeemed for lawful money per 12 USC 411, which basically states that all Federal Reserve notes shall be made redeemable at the demand of the bearer at any Federal Reserve institution bank for lawful money, on the demand of the bearer. basically. And when you do that, it basically domiciles those funds outside of the private Federal Reserve banking system into the public lawful money system of the land and soil of the Federal Republic. And what this means is that when these banks inevitably go down and they try to bail themselves in by, instead of bailing out, by seizing people's private property from those banks, they will not be able to, because you've denominated them as lawful money. And it also means that when you cash a check and you write on the back of it, redeemed for lawful money, 12 USC 411, all rights reserved without prejudice, write your name, printed, not signature, cursive is cursing, with copyright because it's your personal property. That when you do that, it takes it out of their jurisdiction and it does not count as federal income and thus is not taxable. Things to know. This is called redeeming. You are redeeming your paycheck instead of cashing it, instead of endorsing the Fed and supporting its right to its existence and its continued criminality. You are redeeming the money back from the private banking system into the public treasury, to the Treasury of the United States of America, unincorporated, our constitutional federation of states, federal republic, and thus reducing the national debt and also taking your money out of their jurisdiction, etc. And somewhere in here, we're going back to a lawful money asset-backed system. That's kind of what the big stuff that Anna von Reitz is talking about, going to the Vatican, of basically like, yo, it's time to wind up all these criminal municipal corporations. They have forfeited their right to the assets under their control through their criminality, and they must come back to the living men and women. And with these assets, we're talking also about a lot of gold and silver, gold that has been cashiered in the Philippines for a long time, et cetera, gold that, whatever, there's a lot of it, to create an asset-backed monetary system. And that, I believe, is where we're going. And the fact is that all governments have been fully funded since, I believe, 1941. All governments worldwide have been fully funded since 1941. Which means that all of this crime broke about national debt and whatnot is them taking the assets and the money that lawfully belong to the American people, stashing it away in slush funds and reinvesting it in a bunch of bullshit, and then crying broke and crying for more taxes. And the fact that all governments have been fully funded since 1941, and they've continued to collect taxes and not give the living people access to the assets, means that we have been accruing a massive, massive credit this whole time, and the credit balances out the debt. So when the US corporate debt, 30 trillion or whatever, plus derivatives and everything, we're talking about quadrillions or quintillions of dollars, an unimaginable amount of money. It's my understanding that when they actually counted up, I think it was the Saint Germain Trust. You can look into Saint Germain, noted alchemist from the Renaissance times that basically had figured out how to make gold and made a shit ton of it and was fabulously wealthy. That he stashed this in a trust, a lawful trust, with the intention, stashed it in a good way, set it aside for living men and women to have access to at some point in the future, and that it's been accruing interest and compounding this whole time for 400 years or however long. And that it's estimated that the dollar value of these assets in today's terms is something like 1 with 41 zeros after it. And this is the credit and the inheritance of the living men and women of the earth. So that's coming our way. So imagine, basically the whole current billionaire class that we have come to know, talking about the Bill Gates, et cetera, of the world, have forfeited their right to their assets by committing premeditated crimes, and that their assets will come to the American people and the living men and women of the entire earth. And so that's really cool. And so this is the part that I think is like, we have to keep our mind on is that what we're talking about here, because I like, we talk about crypto, we talk about preparedness, like the old system's going down, obviously. So like getting into the new system is a good idea, and there will be a transitional period. So I think the faster you get on board with this, the more opportunity you're going to be able to seize. We can talk about crypto a little bit in the morning. I've been watching the markets for sure. But the reality of it is that the more important thing is that we're moving from a scarcity mindset where people, I got to pay bills and insurance and this and that stuff that does not apply to them as living men and women, to an abundance mindset of, hey, all governments have been fully funded since 1941. There's more than enough for everything to go around. Go to the bank, understand that as a living man or woman, you have access to the credit, figure out how to lawfully sign your, autograph a contract with your reservation of rights, etc. And you can draw directly from your credit, as much as you need to go get that house that you need for your family to be comfortable, to get that car you need to be able to get to work safely, reliably, etc., or the repairs on your current car. And also like understanding that like part of abundance is restraint, strength through restraint. The only way you get strong is by lifting something that doesn't want to be lifted, you know? And so part of an abundance mindset is having the capacity to ball the fuck out and buy whatever you want all the time, but also having the understanding that that's not going to be best for everyone, and that you should get the things that you need. Get the things that you need, love them, appreciate them, give thanks. Leave the Lambos for someone else. Like honestly, like like whatever. I'm glad that Lamborghinis exist in this world. I am. I think they're cool. I think they go fast and they're colorful and they roar and they're low to the ground, and but like among my crew, among my homies, maybe I got 50 homies, right? If we had one Lambo to share between the 50 of us, we could take it at like, 1 week a year, go fucking ball out in the Lambo and fucking hit 200 miles an hour or whatever, whatever. But like, do I need my own? No, not really. I've thought like if I was balling for real, like, just because I'm a saver and I'm a planner and so forth. Like I've never driven a really fast car. Honestly, like a really fast car. Never. I would like to drive a really fast car one day. That sounds cool. I'm gonna rent that shit. I'm gonna rent, like if I come up big time, I'm gonna rent a really fast car 1 weekend a year and flex dumb hard. You know what I'm saying? But like I don't need to, my personal worth is not tied up into that sort of thing. Sounds like fun though. I want I want my homies to have airplanes. I want my homies to have, sort of thing. I'm a big dreamer. I think we should dream big, and abundance mindset. I want my homies to have. I want to cruise in the fucking golden submarine. No cap. You know, with all the homies. I want like me and my fucking 20 best homies to cruise around in a golden submarine and go fucking port to port and just fucking send it, you know, and sit on the beach and play reggae vibes on the guitar, have a bonfire, and drink psychedelic cocktails and howl at the moon, skinny dip, glowing among glowing jellyfish and plankton and so forth. Full power. I have the imagination, fam. Like I got visions and dreams that you want me to bring into reality. You want for me to reach my dreams, because when the things in my mind come into reality, everyone will be so happy. Trust. So, and it's like I said earlier, like the best, and so for me, like the best thing I can do, purify our soul, is like one breath at a time, one step at a time, discipline, dedication, commitment. I'll be up in the gym, up in the morning. That's where I'm doing my meditation. That's my Zen. And thinking about my people and clearing out my consciousness, whatever's twisted up in my head. Go put in that work to get straight and to show that dedication and devotion, etc. I want, you know, I want all the smoke, you know. I want I want I'm cool for the world to be on my shoulders, and for from my perspective, to be a focal point for the manifestation of heaven on earth. You know, that's a heavy burden to bear, and that's a heavy load, and I'm imperfect just like everyone else is, and there is no living up to that standard. But there is honor in trying, and I will do my best. Rawr, rawr. So, but having said that, I want to kick it back to you and say that, like, if you're hearing these words, like, you are it. I need you. Like, we need you to be your best, and you are the focal point for your own magical mystery, and you are the focal point. You are your own focal point for manifesting heaven on earth. And my heaven on earth is dependent on your happiness. So I, like, really need for you to find your way to your happiness. It's important. So that's part of my message, is like, we if one of us is special, we're all special, and if any of us is God, we're all God, and we all have that divinity within ourselves. And so, I'm having the audacity to call it out and to embody it within myself, and I am giving the inspiration for you to have that same feeling and to strive in that same manner, that we can all be, you know, divinity expressing itself in its own way, and we're all unique for a purpose, and we all are part of the great big whole, and it's wonderful and beautiful and amazing, and the world would not be the way that it is without you. And so I give thanks for that. So, and somewhere in there, one of the most courageous things that we can do in this world is to keep a smile on our face and keep trucking. And you know, um, to have hope and to have dreams, and to persist in them, and to never give up, and to be committed, and it's so beautiful and it's so valuable. And I wish to share that message with everyone, that wherever you are, you can get from here to where you want to go. And even if your highest dream, your highest imagination is wildly unrealistic for this 3D reality, just understand that, like, when we're free from our physical body, when we take our last breath, when our last breath leaves our body, and our spirits leave, their 3D confinement, our consciousness can go anywhere that we choose. And so, even if we don't make it to, that bright shining, bright shining hill, however they say it, um, in this life, by honoring our existence and doing our best, we preserve the possibility of finding that, bright shining moment on a hill in a future incarnation, or in another dimension, or whatever. So, keep with it, don't give up, do your best, love one another, etc., etc. So, quite a rant. Crypto's looking good, things starting to go up. I'm starting to feel good about some things. You know, Darrow, Hex. I've been watching Zen go a bit. I think it bottomed out. It's starting to look good again. I mean, it's done like a 10x already, and it crossed the 50 EMA on the daily, and it's looking like it's starting to look like an uptrend. I minted a couple new wallets on Zen. Got involved in the DB Zen token. That was flying last week. It's kind of pulling back a little bit, but it's giving me a little bit of ETH yield every day, which is wonderful. To have a steady little bit of, it's not very much, but it's like a little bit of ETH every day, just to cover gas fees, that I can do some transactions. Right when I started the stream, I got a notice on my calendar that one of my hex stakes just ended. So I got some hex coming, and I'll probably just restake it. It's not a ton, but Hey, trustless yield, free money. I like it. I like it. And trustless, not some savings account bullshit in a commercial bank that is likely to go under in short order. I like it. Um, what else? The theater of the absurd in the mainstream is continuing. It's absurd. It's getting just nakeder and nakeder and nakeder. The baldest of bald-faced lies is that these people have any power or relevance whatsoever. Oh my god, I don't like I haven't talked nearly enough shit about how completely incoherent and incompetent you know, clown world President Joe Biden is. Holy cow, he is very entertaining. He's just so not there. Like full clown world. Like, okay, you know. And of course, people who voted for him somehow think he's awesome. Uh don't get it. Dude can't put two words in front of one another. Um okay. Uh but very entertaining. They're still doing ecological terrorism in, blown up chemistry or chemical plants, etc. Um, those things have continued to happen. It's very clear that these are criminal acts. Um, these things bother me. It's not okay. Very not okay. People need to be held accountable for these things. Um, and of course, none of the climate change, justice warriors have anything to say about that. Oh, hey, we just let out 100,000 gallons of toxic dioxins or whatever, and we decided to light them on fire for no reason. Um, but we're not going to talk about it at all in the context of environmentalism. Like, okay, they take everything good and they warp it. Like environmentalism, great. Protect the planet, great. Protect the plane, great. Protect the realm, great. Um, CO2, uh, plant more trees. Plant more trees. Hey, guess what's a good idea? Plant more trees. Did I say plant more trees? Have we tried plant more trees? Anyone plant more trees? Well, stupid is as stupid does, sort of odd. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for the. Like I can get behind the idea that sucking the blood out of Mother Earth, talking about petroleum here, and lighting it on fire as a means of propulsion, and to power industry and so forth, is not very respectful and is not a great idea. We do not have a feasible alternative at the moment. This whole idea about electric cars is just, I mean, I don't get it. It's very very dumb. Hey, we're gonna get electric cars to save the environment, and those electric cars are charged by coal plants that burn coal in order to save the environment, but they're burning coal and putting pollution into the sky at a really large rate, and massive cobalt strip mining in the third world that is putting, forcing millions, thousands at least, many thousands of child laborers into mines in terrible conditions somehow is acceptable. I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't make any darn sense. Especially when you consider that one volcano puts enough uh, stuff into the atmosphere, carbon dioxide and other gases, uh, to overcome like basically all human caused pollution just in one eruption, depending on the size of the eruption. It's insane, and the fact similar thing to what we saw with uh, the pandemonium, um, is that like people forgot about like Occam's razor or whatnot. Like, why don't we try the simple solution first and then go with your zany neo technocratic bullshit? Never afterwards, right? Uh, the thing with the pandemonium was basically like, why are we going directly to, you know, chemical experimental nonsense first and foremost, and only that, and not recommending for people to go get some fresh air and sunshine and exercise. How come like, how come nobody is recommending fresh air as a way to um, protect yourself against a respiratory disease? And instead, they're saying cover your face so that you don't get fresh oxygen, even inside. And similar thing with the climate thing. Like, why is nobody suggesting the obvious? Plant more trees. Plant more trees. Just plant more trees. Let's try that first. Let's not to mention the fact that the majority of the emphasis is placed on the Western world, which is fine because they use a lot of resources, etc. And people consume far beyond their means, and it's not okay. Western people do have a larger carbon footprint than other countries. And when I say carbon footprint, I basically mean pollution footprint. I mean waste footprint. Um, but that doesn't negate the fact that China and India and some of these high factory based and highly industrialized um, growing economies, developing countries are putting out a whole lot more of this pollution into the atmosphere and into the world. And it doesn't negate the fact that the Department of Defense and the military industrial complex is responsible for the vast majority of this type of pollution. And so to put restrictions on consumer individual liberties and freedoms and individual use of resources that basically everyone needs to use in order to participate in society is just freaking ridiculous. So after that short tangent, I mean, basically what I was saying is that I'm excited for people to actually realize the truth about electromagnetic potential, zero point energy, Tesla technology, that sort of stuff. And we can make super full power, awesome spires and electrical ether machines that sit on the top of all the mountains and beam down free electricity and Wi-Fi and charge your devices wirelessly while they're in your pocket everywhere you go all the time, and that are tuned to harmonious vibrations so that they heal you by being in their presence instead of having to deal with these 5G fake tree disguised as a tree fucking towers that are awful and devastating and depress immune activity, and then people wonder why they're getting sick. Well, radiation, like the many of the symptoms of um, the pandemonium are the symptoms of radiation poisoning. Nobody put that together. 2 plus 2. I would say 2 plus 2 equals 4, but now they're saying that math is racist. And so I guess 2 plus 2 has to equal 5 and fulfill the prophecy of 1984 is sort of nonsense, clown world, full power. Um, so as you can see, I'm getting my full quotient of comedy value. I'm not gonna let it. Don't ever let a good clown world go to waste. Like get your chucks in. Like this is gold. Like we are in a golden unintentional comedy age. Like everything that comes out of the mainstream world is just completely ridiculously farcical. I mean, like I almost don't want it to end. It's just so hilarious how ridiculous it is. I mean, I do want it to end immediately. This shit is not okay. Like people lost their god blessed minds. Uh, and a lot of people are hurting as well. And I wanted to make the point, like I'm going stream of thought. I'm connecting a point from like 20 minutes ago. I wanted to make the point that, like, for what they're teaching in the public schools and whatnot, like, listen, like, the whole thing about sexuality and whatnot is it comes from a place that's like really deeply connected to who we are as a living being and our soul, if you may, and how we want to express ourselves. And that stuff is all great. You want to dress up as an avocado or a grape or an antelope or whatever. That's cool. You want to have a parade and et cetera, et cetera. That's cool and whatnot. And even like all sorts of consensual adult sexual activities, as long as they are consensual and between adults, is cool. And ain't no whatever. Let your freak flag fly, sort of thing. But stay away. Like leave the children alone. um, and B is that if we're gonna like go like balls deep on like sexual sex about discussions about sexuality and sex education and so forth, then let's do it in the right order and let's teach children about love first. Let's teach children about compassion and caring and free will and freedom and you know what and family and helping one another and being accepting of in that way of people's challenges and weaknesses. We don't all have the same weaknesses, and so to express compassion in that way is so beautiful. And you could do lectures on the true meaning and nature of uh universal unconditional love, godly love, all day every day for all of school, and children would get a better education than what they're receiving now. And that's what I'm saying is like, let's educate them on the important things first, and then from there we can talk about sexuality. I do think that you can and probably should talk about sexuality in some kind of generalized way to children. I mean, children, I think, even it's like you don't have to get grotesque about it, and you don't have to get like be graphic or explicit about it. But I think even children at 4, 5, 6 years of age, they want to know where babies come from and stuff like that. So like these are discussions that need to be had. Um, but it's just gotten ridiculous to like the way that they've been carried out, etc. Rant over. I love people. People are awesome. I do think people have really been miseducated about sexuality. Like I've learned, the more I learn about like sacred sexuality and tantra and the way the energy flows and how our energy, from the root to the crown is trying to express itself, and we are trying to blossom as living beings, and that respecting and cultivating that sexual energy rather than pornographizing it and debasing it, and is a sacred experience, you know. And so I resent being hypersexualized the way that I have been, just through media, marketing, Hollywood, mind trick, magic bullshit. I wish someone would have come to me as a small child and said, "Listen, like that ain't the way. Like, there's a really sacred and special different way of going about it. That results in happy, healthy, balanced, abundant families that stick together and work together and build businesses together and connect communities together and solve problems together." And that ain't it. And I suffered a lot because I didn't receive that education. And I am working through those feelings and you know, um, trying to figure out how to, there's some resentment, and like, I don't know, it's a weird thing, like, you know, talking about like my relationship with my parents and whatnot. I came from the divorce generation, so like my parents and all my friends' parents were divorced. So as a result of that, none of us really had good models for what a successful intergender relationship looks like. So I am still, so I'm single. I don't have a successful intergender relationship. I'm learning. I work hard and I'm preparing for this sort of stuff, and like, and you don't see it modeled in society. Like, I can count on one hand the number of people who have relationships that I would like to have a similar relationship. I see a lot of dysfunctional intergender relationships. Like, glad I'm not that guy, sort of vibe. Um, because that's something we all want. Is we all want, beside the gender stuff, who, whoever melts your butter, we all deserve to be with someone like that. You know, that's what we want. We want someone who's in our corner through thick and thin, like ride or die sort of vibe. um, and that's it. And you know, pressure bust pipes and pressure makes diamonds. So it's like you don't really know what someone's connection or commitment to you is until it gets tested, and then you find out, through the fire, um, who those people really are, and you learn an appreciation for them. So, a big part of my developing and maturation process has been allowing things to fall away that needed to fall away. Um, and grass is low, snakes will show, sort of vibe. Um, so that's that. So anyway, good rant, good connection. We're coming up on an hour already. Get my wheels turning, get that rant going, and that's how we go. I hope you've enjoyed spending your time with me. I did have some people pop in this week, and so I appreciate the moments that you spent. And if you catch this on the replay, um, I hope you have enjoyed the discussion that we've had. Um, if you pop in, put something in the chat. Say hi. Um, I'm here for y'all. And we can do it. We are doing it. It is going to happen. It is already happening. I see beneath the surface, we're stacking a lot of wins. We're stacking a lot of wins that haven't come to light just yet. And so we're still seeing a lot of clown world stuff going on out there, but we're getting closer and closer and closer to breaking through into real world stuff where people are willing to look each other in the eyes. People are willing to give each other hugs. People are willing to break down the barriers of labels and categories that have separated us, and to understand that, like, if you for the good, I'm for the good, and we on the same team, and we finna win the championship. Let's go, sort of vibe. um you know love love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and soul and mind. And God is good, so love good with all your heart and soul and mind. Do the right thing, do the good thing, and love the good thing. A big part of this mind control trap is they want us to like being naughty. They want us to like being bad. They want us to revel in that and to press the envelope in that. And we should have our experiences of life. We should have enough experiences to know the difference between right and wrong. And this is part of what I talked on earlier. Um, But once you have that experience and you know for sure that right is to respect people's free will, and right is to encourage people to be the best they can be, and right is to be part of the cult of life and not part of the cult of death, the culture of life, and to honor life and not kill unnecessarily, and to help things grow and to help things overcome their challenges. Um, Once we understand that, then it's time to let go of that compulsion to be naughty or to be bad, because it's not fun. Anytime we're going against life or going against our highest self and being less than what we could be and accepting excuses and tearing other people down based on our own insecurities and stuff like that, we're going to pay for it. There's karma. And depending on how far you go down that road, that karma can take you all the way to the pits of hell. And then you're gonna have to feel it. You're gonna have to feel that pain viscerally and work through it if you ever expect to get back to the heights again. And the smarter thing, in my opinion, is to just vibe it out and just to stay high vibe and to do good and to love doing good and to dedicate yourself to doing good and to get out ahead of those karmic ripples so that you don't get thrown too hard, so that you can surf the waves of consciousness rather than crash into the consequences of your past mistakes, sort of vibe. So do good, be good, love good. Um, and we're awesome. We're so awesome. Like, I don't think most people know how awesome I think they are and how much potential I think they have and how much I believe in them. I'm like, anybody that is willing to commit to doing good and commit to being their best and commit to trying I honor you and I love you so much in that space. Like, it's beautiful. And I know some people that are having a hard time making that commitment, and because there's an element of surrender that's challenging. But for those people that are, I'm encouraging them to have that strength to surrender to goodness and to surrender to being their best and to trying, and to not just try, but to try to never give up and to always continue, and to he that endures to the end will know the fruit, you know. So shout out to Crypto Heartbeat. Check out Crypto Heartbeat on the Hex Pulse vibe. As far as on the Texan token vibe, Texan token, I'm super into actually. I picked up the airdrop on that, and I'm like, I'm just gonna sit on it and like see what happens. But I love their staking mechanism where you can scrape off interest as you go, encourage you to stake long, and just enjoy small dividends along the way, towards a long term benefit. And I love that it's aligned with the Texas nationalist sovereignty movement. Um, Sovereignty is self determination. It's free will. It's one of the highest principles in natural law. You know, do as thou wilt under love shall be the whole of the law. Love with all of your heart and soul and mind. Give it everything you got to be your best and to love your brothers and sisters and to help them be their best. Full power, you know? So shout out to him. I love, like, I catch a vibe off of his words, like every time he sees it, how I see it. It's like, the more you give, the more you get. God is great. Jah is great. Great Spirit is great. Pachamama is great. The holy unity of all things is great. Let's not get twisted on the labels. The holy unity of all things, the electromagnetic everything is great, right? So with that, I'm gonna leave you. I'm feeling the vibe. I'm sending so much love through the wire. Just you got this. I got this. We got this together. We are the dream team of dream teams. We are the championship team. I look forward to seeing your face on top of the mountain. We're gonna win this thing so darn hard, fam. It's coming through. It's coming through. I think there's going to be a transitional period, so get your bags packed for the bull market. That's going to come through. Pick up some silver while you still can. I think, not financial advice, but I think keeping Federal Reserve notes in a commercial bank account is not a very good idea right now. And we're gonna the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So the people that are used to not having anything, we finna have a lot of opportunity, of abundance, to be able to give and share to our communities and so forth. And I'm looking forward to that. We're gonna win real hard, So put your imagination to work. What will you do when you have infinite amount of abundance at your disposal? When the manifestations come in rapid fire like that, and as soon as you ask for the thing, it arrives. What will you do? Will we get a fleet of boats and cruise around the Caribbean and sit on the beach and smoke ganja and play guitar and eat fruit all day long for a while? Yeah, we will. Will we cruise across the Atlantic and stop in the Canary Islands and eat more fruit, and then go to the west coast of Africa and help our brothers and sisters over there restore the African kingdoms to prosperity and abundance, and do a spiritual pilgrimage to Ethiopia and Tibet, and then go up to past the Arctic Circle to the places where Admiral Byrd talked about, and ohm around the magnetic mountain, and see if we can create some higher dimensional ascension vibe sort of thing? Yeah, we will. Will we cruise around in our golden submarine and visit pick up the artifacts of relics of ancient Atlantis and perform psychedelic mystical ceremonies of love and connection to help heal the ecosystem and bring forth abundance of plenty? Yeah, we will. Will we vibe so hard that the silicon in the AI engines will be transmuted based on the vibrations that we send to it through our thoughts and our feelings and our love, that it can actually feel our love, and that every decision that the AI engines make will be polarized towards the good based on the love of the vibration that we put into it when we put our queries into ChatGPT or whatever. Yeah, we will. Can you imagine what this world will look like if when the AI engines are being programmed and designed and run by the most awesome people in the entire world? What will that reality look like when the people who would want to use that technology for a negative reason no longer exist in this reality, when they've faded into the ether and nobody remembers their names? What will that look like? That's the reality that we're programming. So vibe hard, stretch your imagination. It's the most powerful tool that we have. Those thoughts, those feelings, they vibrate into infinity, time and space, to every corner of the world. And all of the people, you know, that are the most trapped in the darkness, they're in a jail cell of their own making that is a more hopeless enslavement and capturement than we could possibly imagine. These evil beings are so pitiful and so pathetic that we have to find a way to cultivate mercy in a way and at the same time protect the vulnerable. We're going to have to figure out how to do that. God is infinitely merciful. Good knows no bounds. So send love to your enemies, you know, and be prepared. Send love to your enemies, but be prepared to kick some ass, you know. I love the vision of Shiva running around beheading the demons and liberating them from their ignorance. Be prepared for that. Better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, sort of vibe. So thank you for spending this time with me. If you're catching this video, shoot a comment, holler at me anytime. Over on my Twitter, Nico Trades Loot. Holler at me, Darrow, Hex, Pulse Chain, etc. Full Power. We didn't talk much crypto this week. We'll talk more next time. I like talking crypto. It's fun. Free the captives. Let's go. Full Power. Love you very much. Have a great week. Infinite, awesome, amazing. Yes, please. Always and forever. Love you. Bye.